I was sitting in my small apartment, holding my phone, staring at two text messages that made my chest feel hollow. The first was from my son Harold. "Mom, I've asked you not to contact me with your problems during work hours. I'm blocking this number. If there's a real emergency, call my assistant." The second was from my daughter Caroline. "Handle it yourself. Your illness isn't my problem. I have my own life to deal with." I set the phone down on my coffee table, right next to the lottery ticket that had been sitting there for 2 weeks. The winning numbers were circled in red pen. $333 million. I'd won it 14 days ago and hadn't told a soul. Not Harold. Not Caroline. Not even my brother Arthur, though I planned to tell him soon. Instead, I decided to run a test. Yesterday, I'd called both my children and told them I'd been to the doctor. That they'd found something wrong with my heart. That the word serious had been used. That I was frightened and needed help figuring out specialists and treatment options my Medicare wouldn't fully cover. I hadn't asked for money. Just support. Just someone to talk to. Just basic human kindness from the children I'd raised alone after their father left. Harold had been annoyed from the first sentence. Said he was busy with a case going to trial. When I'd pressed, said I was really scared, he told me I was being dramatic and hung up. This morning, he'd sent that text message and blocked my number. His own mother. Caroline had been worse in some ways. She'd actually laughed when I told her about my heart. "Oh God, not another health crisis," she'd said. "What is it this time?" When I'd tried to explain it was serious, she'd cut me off. "Mom, you're always sick with something. Last month it was your knee, before that your diabetes. I can't drop everything every time you have a health scare." I'd said the doctor had used the word urgent. She'd snapped back, "Then get treatment. I don't know what you want from me. I have a showing in 20 minutes. I'd wanted comfort. Support. 5 minutes of her time to tell me I'd be okay. Instead, she told me my illness wasn't her problem and hung up. Now I sat in my quiet apartment, financially wealthy beyond anything I could have imagined, but emotionally devastated. My children, the babies I'd rocked to sleep and sacrificed everything to raise, couldn't spare even kindness when I was frightened and alone. The lottery ticket sat there mocking me. All that money, and the two people who should have loved me unconditionally had just proven they didn't love me at all. I picked up my phone again and scrolled through my contacts until I found Leonard. He was the financial advisor the Lottery Commission had recommended when I'd first verified my winning ticket. He'd been kind. Patient. Had treated me with more respect in 2 weeks than my own children had shown me in years. I pressed call. "Mrs. Brennan," Leonard answered warmly. "How are you doing?" "I'm ready," I said. "Ready to claim my winnings publicly. Ready to set everything up the way we discussed." "Are you sure?" "Once this goes public, there's no taking it back. Everyone will know." "I'm sure. And your children? Have you told them yet?" I looked at those text messages again. Harold blocking me. Caroline dismissing my health crisis. No. And I'm not going to. Let them find out with everyone else. Leonard was quiet for a moment. "Mrs. Brennan, I have to ask. Is there something else going on? You sound different." I tested them, I said simply. I told them I was sick and needed help. They both failed. Spectacularly. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. Better to know the truth now than keep making excuses for them." "What do you want to do?" "I want to schedule the press conference. I want to claim my money. And I want to set up my estate exactly the way we discussed last week. With very specific provisions about who gets what and under what conditions. Some of those provisions are unconventional." "I know. But it's my money. I earned it. Well, I won it. Same difference." "All right. I'll start making calls. The press conference can probably be scheduled for Monday if that works for you." "Perfect. Mrs. Brennan? Are you going to be okay?" This is a big step. I looked around my small apartment. The one-bedroom place I'd lived in for 8 years because it was what I could afford on my teacher's pension. The worn furniture. The kitchen where I carefully counted out grocery money each week. The life I'd built alone while my children lived their comfortable lives and barely called. "I'm going to be better than okay," I said. "For the first time in a very long time, I'm going to be just fine." After I hung up with Leonard, I sat in the silence of my apartment and let myself feel everything I'd been pushing down. The hurt of Harold's blocked number. The sting of Caroline's cruel dismissal. The years of being treated like an inconvenience by the children I'd given everything to raise. But underneath the hurt, something else was growing. Something hard and clear and surprisingly calm. Relief. Relief that I'd tested them before telling them about the money. Relief that I now knew exactly who they were and what I meant to them. Relief that I could make decisions about my future with complete clarity. I picked up the lottery ticket and looked at those numbers one more time. $333 million. It was more money than I could spend in 5 lifetimes. Money that could change everything. Money that would absolutely change how Harold and Caroline treated me once they found out. But they'd already shown me how they treated me when I had nothing to offer them but a mother's love. When I was just a burden with health problems and no money. And that told me everything I needed to know. The press conference was in 4 days. Soon, the whole world would know that Ruth Brennan, retired elementary school teacher, had won one of the largest lottery jackpots in state history. My children would find out along with everyone else. And when they came calling, and I knew they would, I'd be ready. But to understand how I got to this moment, sitting alone in my apartment with a winning lottery ticket and 2 cruel text messages from my children, you need to know the whole story. You need to know about the years of sacrifice. The pattern of being taken for granted. The slow realization that the people I'd loved most in the world didn't actually love me back. Let me take you back to 2 weeks ago. To the day I bought that lottery ticket. To the beginning of the end of my old life and the start of something completely different. 2 weeks earlier, I was standing at the grocery store checkout, counting out change to pay for my items. Milk, bread, eggs, a small package of chicken breasts, some vegetables. The basics. I'd calculated carefully at home, but somehow I was 30 cents short. My face went hot with embarrassment as I recounted the coins in my palm. The line behind me was getting longer. People were watching. "Don't worry about it, Mrs. Brennan," the cashier said kindly. She was a young woman named Amy who'd checked me out before. 30 cents is nothing. I can put something back. It's fine. Really. I thanked her quietly and gathered my bags, feeling that familiar shame that came with being broke at 67 years old. I'd taught elementary school for 40 years. 40 years of shaping young minds, staying late for parent conferences, spending my own money on classroom supplies. And my pension was $2,400 a month. After rent on my small apartment, $900 utilities, medications for my diabetes and high blood pressure, and basic expenses, I had maybe $300 left for food and everything else. I was careful. I clipped coupons. I bought store brands. I stretched every dollar as far as it would go. But sometimes I still came up 30 cents short. After the grocery store, I stopped at a convenience store on the corner. I wasn't usually a lottery player. It seemed like throwing money away when I barely had money to throw, but the Powerball jackpot was all over the news. $300 million. The number was so big it didn't even seem real. On impulse, I pulled $2 bills from my wallet. $2 I probably should have saved. But something made me do it. "1 Powerball ticket," I told the clerk. He printed it out and handed it over. I folded it into my purse without even looking at the numbers. That evening, I made a simple dinner. A chicken breast, roasted vegetables, a small salad. I ate alone at my kitchen table, the TV on in the background for company. The lottery drawing was at 11. I wasn't really paying attention, just had it on while I washed dishes. The numbers started appearing on screen. I glanced at them, then back at my dishes. Then something made me stop. I dried my hands and pulled the ticket from my purse. Unfolded it. Looked at the numbers. The first number matched. Coincidence, I thought. The second number matched. My heart started beating faster. Third number. Match. Fourth number. Match. Fifth number. Match. And then the Powerball. Match. I stared at the ticket. Looked at the TV screen. Back at the ticket. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped it. All 6 numbers. Perfect match. This wasn't possible. Things like this didn't happen to people like me. I was a retired teacher living on a fixed income, counting out change at the grocery store. I checked the numbers again, and again, and again. Every time, they matched. I sat down hard on my couch, the ticket clutched in both hands, and tried to process what had just happened. $333 million. The number was so large I couldn't even comprehend it. I'd never had more than a few $1,000s in my bank account at one time. I'd lived paycheck to paycheck my entire adult life. And now, somehow, I was holding a ticket worth hundreds of millions. I didn't scream or jump or celebrate. I just sat very still, my mind completely blank, trying to understand that my entire life had just changed. Eventually, I pulled out my phone and called the number on the back of the ticket. Got a recorded message about verifying wins. Called the Lottery Commission's main number and got another recording. They were closed until morning. I barely slept that night. Just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the ticket on my nightstand, wondering if this was real or if I'd somehow misread the numbers. At 8 the next morning, I called the Lottery Commission. A woman answered and I explained, my voice shaking, that I thought I might have won. She asked me to read the numbers. I did. There was a long pause. Ma'am, I need you to sign the back of that ticket right now. In ink. Your full legal name. So it's real? I really won. Yes, ma'am. You really won. Now sign that ticket immediately, and don't let it out of your sight. I signed it with trembling hands. Ruth Elizabeth Brennan. What do I do now? I asked. You need a lawyer and a financial advisor before you claim publicly. Don't tell anyone about this win yet. Not friends, not family, nobody. Do you understand? Why not? Because the moment people know you have money, everything changes. We'll give you the names of reputable advisors. Get everything set up legally first. Protect yourself. Protect myself from what? From everyone who's going to ask you for money. And trust me, it will be everyone. Over the next few days, I followed their instructions like a sleepwalker. Met with Leonard, the financial advisor they recommended. He was kind, didn't talk down to me even though I knew nothing about managing this kind of wealth. First thing, he said at our initial meeting, is to understand that this money will change every relationship you have. People will treat you differently. Family especially. I don't have much family. Just my 2 children and my brother. Have you told them? Not yet. Good. Don't. Not until everything is legally protected. I've seen what happens when lottery winners tell family too soon. What happens? They either get taken advantage of, or they find out who people really are. Usually both. I thought about Harold and Caroline, my successful lawyer son and my real estate agent daughter. Would they be happy for me? Would this finally make them see me as more than just their aging mother to be managed and dismissed? Or would Leonard's warning prove true? What if I want to test them? I asked quietly. Leonard looked at me carefully. Test them how? See how they treat me when I have nothing. Before they know about the money. That's actually wise. Painful maybe, but wise. I've been thinking about it. About how they treat me now. Harold barely calls. Caroline only calls when she needs something. I make excuses for them, tell myself they're busy. But I wonder if they'd be different if I had something to offer them. If I was successful instead of just their poor mother on a fixed income. Leonard nodded slowly. If you want to test them, do it carefully. And be prepared for what you might learn. I spent a week thinking about it. About my relationship with my children. About the years of being treated like an afterthought. And I made my decision. I would test them. Call them with a problem. See if they showed even basic kindness. Not for money. Just for love. Their response would tell me everything I needed to know about whether I wanted them in my newly wealthy life. I made those calls yesterday. Told them I was sick, scared, needed help. And today I was sitting in my apartment, looking at their responses, knowing exactly what I needed to do next. Before I made those test calls to Harold and Caroline, I spent 3 days thinking honestly about our relationships. Really thinking, without the excuses I usually made for them. The pattern had been there for years. I just hadn't wanted to see it. Harold's last visit had been 4 months ago. He'd stopped by on a Sunday afternoon, stayed exactly 30 minutes, declined my offer of lunch. He'd spent most of the time checking his phone. I'd asked about my grandchildren. His two teenagers, 15 and 17 now. Kids I barely knew. They're busy, he'd said without looking up from his screen. School, sports, activities. You know how it is. I'd love to come watch one of their games. Or a school concert. Anything. He looked uncomfortable. Their schedules are pretty packed. I'll let you know if something opens up. Nothing had opened up. Not in 4 months. Not in 4 years, really. I'd met Harold's wife maybe 5 times in their 10 years of marriage. She was polite but distant. Made it clear I wasn't really welcome in their world of country clubs and private schools. I was a reminder that Harold came from humble beginnings. That his mother was a retired teacher who lived in a small apartment and shopped with coupons. Caroline was different, but not better. She called regularly, which at first seemed like a good thing. Until I realized she only called when she needed something. Could I babysit Patricia this weekend? Could I lend her money until her next commission check? Could I help her move furniture? For years, I'd said yes to everything. I'd babysat my granddaughter constantly, sometimes 3 or 4 days a week. I'd given Caroline money I couldn't afford, $50 here, $100 there, that she never paid back. I'd helped her move twice, hurt my back carrying boxes, and she'd never even thanked me properly. About 2 years ago, I'd started setting boundaries. Told Caroline I couldn't babysit unpaid anymore because I'd taken a part-time job at the library to supplement my pension. Said I couldn't lend money because I didn't have it to spare. Her response had been anger. You're my mother. You're supposed to help me. I have been helping you. For years. But I'm 65 years old and living on a fixed income. I can't keep giving you money I don't have. Fine. I'll figure it out myself. Like I always do. After that, her calls became less frequent and more hostile. She'd only contact me when she was frustrated, using me as an emotional dumping ground, then disappearing again. Last Christmas had been the breaking point, though I hadn't fully admitted it to myself at the time. I'd invited both children and their families for dinner. Spent 3 days cooking all their favorite dishes. Used money I'd been saving for property taxes to buy nice gifts for the grandchildren. Harold had canceled the morning of. Something came up with work. Sorry, Mom. We'll catch you next time. There was never a next time. Caroline had shown up, but spent the entire hour on her phone. Left without eating much, didn't take any of the leftovers I'd carefully packaged for her. I'd spent Christmas evening alone, eating turkey by myself and crying into my mashed potatoes. For my 67th birthday 2 months ago, neither child had called. Harold sent a text 3 days later. Sorry, forgot. Happy belated birthday. Caroline hadn't acknowledged it at all. When I'd mentioned feeling hurt, she'd snapped, Not everything is about you, Mom. Some of us have real problems. Real problems. Like I didn't have problems. Like being old and alone and struggling financially wasn't real. I thought about all the years before that. The sacrifices I'd made. When their father Gerald left, Harold was 15 and Caroline was 11. He'd walked out one Tuesday morning and never came back. Child support was sporadic at best. I'd raised them alone on a teacher's salary. I'd worked summer jobs at the mall. Tutored kids after school for extra money. Took on every overtime shift at the school I could get. Harold had wanted to go to an expensive college. I'd helped him apply for every scholarship possible, co-signed student loans that took me years to pay off when he defaulted on 2 of them. Caroline had struggled in community college. I'd paid her tuition out of my savings. Given her rent money when she moved out. Bought her a car when hers died because she couldn't afford the repairs. I'd given them everything I had. Everything. And somehow, as they became adults, I'd become a burden to them. An embarrassment. An obligation they fulfilled as minimally as possible. The only person in my family who'd consistently been there was my brother Arthur. He'd called me every single week for 40 years. Visited at least once a month. Brought me groceries when money was tight. Fixed things in my apartment. Actually listened when I talked. Arthur had been a mechanic, retired now on Social Security. He didn't have much money, but he shared what he had. More importantly, he shared his time and his love. You deserve better from those kids, he'd said more than once. You gave them everything. They're busy, I'd always replied. They have their own lives. Too busy to call their mother on her birthday? I'd made excuses. They were establishing their careers. They had families of their own. They were stressed. Modern life was demanding. But sitting in my apartment with that lottery ticket, about to become wealthier than I'd ever imagined, I stopped making excuses. I saw the pattern clearly for the first time. My children took me for granted. They'd been doing it for years. And I'd let them because I was afraid that setting boundaries would mean losing them completely. But what did I really have to lose? They were barely in my life anyway. The lottery win gave me an opportunity. A chance to see who they really were without the filter of my own desperate need to believe they loved me. So I decided to test them. I would call them both. Tell them I was sick. That I needed help. See how they responded when I had nothing to offer them but a mother's fear and vulnerability. Their response would show me their true character. And based on what I learned, I'd decide whether they deserved to be part of my new life. It wasn't about punishing them. It was about protecting myself. For the first time in my life, I had the power to choose who had access to me. Who got my time, my energy, my resources. And I was going to use that power wisely. I made the call to Harold first on that Wednesday morning, my heart pounding. And his response told me everything I needed to know. I called Harold first on a Wednesday morning around 10. I knew he'd be at his law office, but I hoped he might have a few minutes for his mother. He answered on the fourth ring. Mom, I'm in the middle of something. Can this wait? Not, hello. Not, how are you? Just immediate annoyance that I'd called. It's important, Harold. I went to the doctor yesterday. Are you okay? The question sounded automatic, not concerned. They found something wrong with my heart. They're calling it serious. I need to see a specialist, and they're talking about procedures that Medicare won't fully cover. I'm scared, honey. I don't know what to do. There was a pause. I heard keyboard clicking. He was working while I talked about my heart. Mom, you're always at the doctor for something. Last month it was your knee. Before that, your blood sugar. You're fine. This is different. The doctor used the word urgent. He said, Look, I'm sure it's nothing. You're 67. Bodies break down. That's just how it works. Talk to your Medicare people about coverage options. I know, but I was hoping maybe you could help me research specialists? Or maybe come with me to the consultation next week. I don't understand all the medical terminology and I'm really frightened. Mom. His voice had that edge it got when he was losing patience. I have a major case going to trial next week. I can't drop everything for another one of your health scares. Another one. Like I made them up for attention. Harold, I'm your mother. I'm telling you I'm scared. That something might be seriously wrong with my heart. And I'm telling you that you'll be fine. You always are. Now I really need to go. I have a client meeting in 5 minutes. Please just. Mom, I have to go. Talk to your doctors. That's what they're there for. I'll call you next week. He hung up before I could respond. I sat staring at my phone, feeling like I'd been slapped. My son, whom I'd raised alone after his father left. Whom I'd worked 3 jobs to put through college. Whom I'd co-signed loans for and supported through every challenge in his life. He couldn't spare 10 minutes when I was frightened about my heart. I waited until Thursday morning to call Caroline. Gave myself time to prepare, though I already knew how it would probably go. She answered on the second ring, sounding rushed. Mom, I'm literally walking into a showing. What is it? I went to the doctor earlier this week. They found something wrong with my heart. I need some help figuring out. Caroline laughed. Actually laughed. Oh God, not another health crisis. What is it this time? It's serious, Caroline. They're talking about specialists and treatment and... Mom, you're always sick with something. Remember last year when you thought you had pneumonia and it was just a cold? Or when you swore you needed hand surgery and the doctor said it was just arthritis? This is different. The cardiologist said. They're all different until they're not. Look, I don't have time for this. I have 3 showings today and Patricia needs to be picked up from school early. Whatever it is, handle it. You're an adult. Caroline, I'm your mother and I'm scared. I just need someone to talk to. Your illness isn't my problem, Mom. I have my own life to deal with. Talk to your doctor, figure out your insurance, do whatever you need to do. But I can't drop everything every time you have a scare. I'm not asking you to drop everything. I'm just asking for a little support. Then call Uncle Arthur. He loves playing the concerned relative. I really have to go. She hung up. I sat in my apartment, phone in my hand, feeling completely hollow. Both of my children had dismissed me. Not just said they were too busy, that I could have understood. But they'd been cruel. Mocking. Had treated my fear like it was an inconvenience to them. That evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Harold. Mom, I've asked you not to contact me with your problems during work hours. I'm blocking this number. If there's a real emergency, call my assistant. He'd blocked me. His own mother. For asking for help when I was scared. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I started laughing. Not happy laughter. The kind that comes when something is so absurd you can't process it any other way. My son had blocked me for having a health problem. The next day, Friday, Caroline called back. For a brief moment, I felt hope. Maybe she'd thought about our conversation. Maybe she felt bad about how she'd responded. Mom, I need you to babysit Patricia on Saturday. I have an important open house and my regular sitter canceled. Not an apology. Not asking how I was. Just another request for help. Caroline, did you think about what I told you yesterday? About my heart. Oh, you're still on that? Mom, you're fine. You're always fine. Can you watch Patricia or not? I just told you I might have a serious heart condition and you want me to babysit? You're not dying, you're being dramatic. So yes or no? I need to know now. No. I can't. I need to focus on my health. Of course you can't. Her voice turned bitter. You're never available when I actually need you. You know what? Fine. I'll figure it out myself. Like I always do. Caroline. No, I'm done. I'm tired of asking you for help and getting nothing. You're so wrapped up in your own problems you can't see that other people need things too. She hung up. I sat with my phone, reading those final messages. Harold blocking me. Caroline angry that I wouldn't babysit right after dismissing my health crisis. These were my children. The babies I'd rocked to sleep, the toddlers whose scraped knees I'd kissed, the teenagers I'd supported through every heartbreak and challenge. I'd given them everything I had for 42 and 38 years. And when I needed basic kindness in return, they'd given me nothing. No, worse than nothing. They'd given me cruelty and rejection. I picked up my phone and called Leonard. Mrs. Brennan, how are you? I'm ready to claim my lottery winnings publicly. And I need your help with something else. What's that? I want to set up my estate in a very specific way. With very specific conditions about who gets what and when. I explained my plan. Leonard was quiet when I finished. Mrs. Brennan, are you absolutely sure about this? I looked at Harold's text message. At Caroline's dismissive words. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The Lottery Commission scheduled my public announcement for the following Monday. They required a press conference for winners in my state, a brief interview, and photos with an oversized novelty check. Leonard spent the weekend helping me prepare. Setting up secure bank accounts. Establishing trusts. Arranging security for my apartment building. Once this goes public, your life changes forever, he reminded me. Everyone will know. Including your children. Good, I said. Let them find out with everyone else. Sunday evening, I called Arthur. Our weekly call. He answered on the first ring like always. Hey, Ruthie. How's your week been? Arthur, I need to tell you something. Something big. You okay? You sound different. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I won the lottery. Silence. Arthur? How much? His voice was quiet. $333 million. More silence. Then, sweet merciful Lord. Ruthie, are you serious? Completely serious. I won 2 weeks ago. Haven't told anyone except my financial advisor. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to do something first. I needed to test Harold and Caroline. Test them how? I told him about the calls. About claiming I had a heart condition. About their responses. Arthur was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was hard. They blocked you? Caroline told you your illness wasn't her problem. Yes. Those ungrateful, he stopped himself. Sorry. I know they're your kids. It's okay. You're not wrong. What are you going to do? I'm going public Monday. The whole world will know by Monday evening, including them. And when they call you, because they will, I'll handle it. Ruthie, I don't need your money. I want you to know that. I know. But you're getting some anyway. You've been there for me for 40 years. You deserve it. I just deserve to have my sister in my life. That's all I've ever wanted. I cried a little hearing that. Because Arthur meant it. He'd never wanted anything from me except my company. The press conference was Monday at 2 in the afternoon. I wore my best dress, 10 years old, but still nice. Did my hair carefully. Put on the pearl earrings my mother had left me. Leonard drove me to the lottery headquarters. A room full of cameras and reporters waited. I stood in front of them all, holding that giant check for $333 million, and felt completely surreal. Mrs. Brennan, what do you plan to do with the money? A reporter asked. I'm going to be comfortable for the first time in my life, I said simply. I'm going to help the people who've been good to me. And I'm going to enjoy whatever time I have left. Any big purchases planned? A reliable car. Maybe a small house with a garden. Nothing extravagant. What about family? Will you share with them? I paused. The cameras were all focused on me. Family is important. But so is knowing who your real family is. The people who love you when you have nothing are the ones who deserve to celebrate with you when you have everything. The interview lasted 15 minutes. By evening, it was all over the news. Local and national. Retired teacher wins $333 million Powerball jackpot. My phone started ringing within an hour of the broadcast. Numbers I didn't recognize. Old colleagues. Former students, now adults. People I hadn't heard from in decades. I ignored most of them. Waited for the calls I knew were coming. Harold called at 7. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 7:15. 7:30. 8. 8:30. 5 calls in 90 minutes. I listened to the voicemails later that night. The first, Mom, I saw the news. This is incredible. Call me back immediately. We need to talk about financial planning, legal protection. I'm a lawyer, I can help you navigate this. Call me as soon as you get this. The second, Mom, why aren't you answering? This is important. You can't just ignore calls right now. There are serious legal and financial considerations. You need family involved. Call me. The third, Mom, I'm getting worried. You shouldn't be making decisions without proper legal counsel. Don't talk to anyone else until we discuss this. Family needs to stick together right now. The fourth, this is ridiculous. I'm your son. Pick up the phone. The fifth, fine. I'm coming to your apartment tomorrow morning. We need to have a serious conversation about protecting your assets. Not once did he mention my heart. Not once did he ask if I was okay, if I'd seen the specialist, if the serious condition had been treated. It was all about the money. Caroline's calls started at 7:45. 6 calls in the first hour. Her voicemails were different. More emotional. Crying. Mom, oh my God, I just saw the news. I can't believe it. This is amazing. Call me back. We need to celebrate. I'm so happy for you. Mom, please pick up. I want to talk to you about this. We should go out to dinner, celebrate together. This is such incredible news. Mom, I don't understand why you're not answering. I'm your daughter. We should be sharing this moment together. Please call me back. I'm coming over tomorrow. We have so much to talk about. I've been thinking about how we can invest this, make sure you're taken care of. I know some great financial people. Family should handle this together. Again, not one word about my heart, about my health, about the crisis I'd called her about just days ago. I sat in my apartment, security cameras now installed, a doorman downstairs who'd been briefed not to let anyone up without my permission, and listened to my children's increasingly desperate voicemails. They wanted access to me now, wanted to be involved, wanted to help. Where had they been when I was counting out change at the grocery store? When I was eating dinner alone every night? When I was frightened about my heart? I deleted all their voicemails without responding. My phone rang again. Arthur. I answered. You doing okay? He asked. Honestly? I don't know. I feel numb. They called yet? Both of them. Multiple times. Haven't answered. You going to? Eventually. But not yet. Let them wait. Let them feel what it's like to be ignored when they need something. That's fair, Ruthie. That's more than fair. We talked for an hour. About nothing important. About his week, his fishing, the weather. Normal things. It reminded me that I still had family who loved me. Just not the family I'd given birth to. That night, I lay in bed in my small apartment, soon to be my former apartment, and thought about what came next. Harold and Caroline would show up tomorrow. I knew they would. They'd be persistent now. Desperate to get access to me, to the money, to whatever they thought they deserved. And I would have to face them. Have to look them in the eyes and decide what kind of relationship, if any, I wanted with the children who'd failed every test of basic human decency. I didn't sleep much. Just lay there thinking about tomorrow, about confrontations that were coming, about the life that was ending and the one that was beginning. By morning, I knew exactly what I was going to say. Harold showed up at my building at 8 the next morning. The doorman called up to my apartment. "Mrs. Brennan, there's a Harold Brennan here. Says he's your son. Should I send him up?" "No. Tell him I'm not available." I heard Harold's voice in the background through the phone, loud and angry. "That's my mother. You can't keep me from my mother." "Sir, you need to calm down or I'll call security," the doorman said calmly. "This is insane." "Mom," Harold was shouting now. "I know you can hear me. We need to talk." "Tell him to leave," I said to the doorman. "If he doesn't, call the police." Harold left, but my phone started ringing immediately. I answered this time. "Mom, what the hell? You have me blocked from your own building." "I have security now, Harold. Everyone needs to be cleared before coming up." "I'm your son." "Are you?" "Because last week when I called you scared about my heart condition, you blocked my number." Silence. "You never followed up on that," I continued, my voice steady. "Never asked if I was okay. Never asked if I'd seen a specialist. But the moment you found out I won money, you called 5 times in 1 hour." "Mom, I was busy last week." "Too busy for your dying mother, but not too busy for your rich mother?" "You're not dying. You are being overdramatic like you always are." "How would you know, Harold? You didn't ask. You didn't care. You blocked me. I was in the middle of a trial. I didn't have time to deal with another one of your health scares. But you have time now. Now that there's money involved." His tone changed. Became more controlled. More calculated. "Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I should have been more supportive. Can we talk about that later? Right now, we need to discuss your finances. Have you hired a financial advisor? A lawyer? Because, Mom, there are people who prey on lottery winners. I have both. Leonard is my financial advisor. He came highly recommended by the Lottery Commission. My lawyer is someone Leonard connected me with." "Leonard? Some random guy you just met?" "Mom, you can't trust strangers with this kind of money. You need family involved. I'm a corporate lawyer. I understand investments, contracts, asset protection. You're also blocked from my building, Harold. And you'll stay blocked until you can prove you care about me as a person, not as a source of money." "That's not fair." "You know what's not fair? Calling your mother overdramatic when she's frightened about her heart. Blocking her number. Then showing up demanding access the second you find out she's wealthy. I'm trying to protect you. From people like you?" I hung up. Harold called back immediately. I didn't answer. 20 minutes later, the doorman called again. "Mrs. Brennan, your daughter is here. Caroline Brennan." I hesitated. Then, "Send her up." I wanted to look Caroline in the eye when I did this. She burst through my door the moment I opened it, tears already streaming down her face. "Mom, I've been trying to reach you all night. Why didn't you tell me about the lottery? We could have celebrated together." She was carrying a bottle of champagne and a store-bought cake. "Sit down, Caroline. I know you're probably overwhelmed. I brought champagne and cake. And I was thinking we could start looking at houses for you. You shouldn't be living in this tiny apartment anymore. Sit down." Something in my voice made her stop. She sat on my worn couch, still clutching the champagne bottle. "Last week," I said calmly, "I called you. Told you I had a serious heart condition. Do you remember what you said?" Her face went pale. "Mom, I was having a stressful day. You said my illness wasn't your problem. You told me to handle it myself. You laughed at me. I didn't mean it like that. I thought you were exaggerating. So when your mother says she's seriously ill, your first response is to dismiss her and laugh? I was busy. I had showings. But you're not too busy now. Now you have time for champagne and cake and house hunting. Now you have time for me. Caroline set down the bottle. I'm happy for you. I want to celebrate with you. Is that so wrong? You want to benefit from my money. You're my mother. I'm your daughter. Don't I deserve? Deserve what? My money? Based on what? The way you treat me. That's not fair. When's my birthday, Caroline? She blinked. What? My birthday. What day is it? It's in March. March 15th. You missed it 2 months ago. Didn't even send a text. I forgot. I've been busy with work. Patricia's birthday is June 3rd. I sent her a card with $50 even though $50 is a lot on my pension. You never even thanked me. I meant to. You didn't. Because you take me for granted. You always have. Caroline stood up, her tears drying, anger replacing them. I don't have to listen to this. You're my mother. You're supposed to help me. Support me. That's what mothers do. I did that for 38 years. I worked 3 jobs to give you opportunities. I gave you money I didn't have. I babysat Patricia for free for years. And the moment I needed support back, you told me my problems weren't your concern. One time. One mistake and you're cutting me off. It wasn't one time, Caroline. It's been years of you treating me like a burden. Like an ATM that occasionally malfunctions. She grabbed her purse. Fine. Keep your money. I don't need it. I don't need you. Yes, you do. That's why you're here. I came because I care about you. You came because I won $300 million. If I'd won nothing, you wouldn't be here. Just like you weren't here for my birthday. Or Christmas. Or any time I actually needed you. Caroline's face twisted with anger. You know what? You're a bitter old woman. You always have been. Dad was right to leave you. The words hung in the air between us. Get out, I said quietly. Gladly. She grabbed the champagne bottle. Enjoy your money. Enjoy being alone. Because that's what you'll be. Rich and completely alone. She slammed the door behind her. I sat in the silence that followed, my hands shaking slightly. That had hurt. More than I wanted to admit. But I'd meant what I said. Every word. Over the next few days, both Harold and Caroline continued calling, leaving voicemails that ranged from apologetic to angry to manipulative. Harold's, Mom, I'm sorry for what I said. Let's start over. Family is what matters. Call me. Caroline's, I didn't mean what I said about you being bitter. I was upset. Please call me back. Patricia misses you. Using my granddaughter as leverage. That was low even for Caroline. I deleted every voicemail without listening all the way through. A week after the press conference, Leonard called. Mrs. Brennan, I've set up everything we discussed. The trusts, the foundations, the college funds for your grandchildren. Everything's legally protected. Thank you. Have you heard from your children? Constantly. I'm not answering. Good. Let them realize you're serious about boundaries. Leonard, can I ask you something? Of course. Am I being too harsh? They're my children. Maybe I should give them another chance. He was quiet for a moment. Mrs. Brennan, in my 30 years of helping lottery winners, I've seen every kind of family dynamic. The ones who do best are the ones who protect themselves first. Your children showed you who they are when they thought you had nothing. Believe them. But what if they change? Then they'll prove it through actions over time. Not through apologies made because you're suddenly wealthy. He was right. I knew he was right. But that didn't make it hurt less. 3 months after winning the lottery, I moved out of my small apartment into a comfortable 3-bedroom house with a garden. Nothing extravagant. I wasn't interested in mansions or showing off. Just a safe neighborhood, a yard where I could plant vegetables, and space to breathe. I donated $2 million to the school district where I'd taught, funding classroom supplies and teacher salaries for the next decade. I set up college funds for all 3 of my grandchildren, Harold's 2 teenagers and Patricia. $100,000 each, paid directly to them when they turned 21. No parental access allowed. I gave Arthur $1 million. He'd cried when I told him. Ruthie, this is too much. It's not enough for 40 years of being the only family member who actually loved me. I'd also started traveling. Small trips at first. A week in Savannah. A long weekend in Vermont. Places I'd always wanted to see but couldn't afford. I'd joined a book club. Made friends who knew me as Ruth, not as the lottery winner. People who genuinely enjoyed my company. And I'd started therapy, working through decades of being undervalued by the people who should have cherished me most. As for Harold and Caroline, the pattern continued exactly as I'd predicted. The first month, they called constantly. Sent flowers. Cards. Apologies. Harold showed up at my new house with his wife and children, the first time I'd seen my grandchildren in over a year. We wanted to see your beautiful home, his wife said with a tight smile. I stood in my doorway, blocking entry. I'm not ready for visitors. We're not visitors, we're family, Harold said. Then why did it take a lottery win for you to visit me? He had no answer. Caroline tried a different approach. She brought Patricia by, using my granddaughter as emotional leverage. Patricia's missed you so much, Caroline said sweetly. I looked at my 12-year-old granddaughter and felt my heart break. Hi, Grandma, Patricia said quietly. Mom says you're rich now. Does that mean you're not sad anymore? Out of the mouths of children. I'm happy, sweetheart. Happier than I've been in a long time. Can I still visit you? Mom says maybe you won't want to see us anymore. I looked at Caroline sharply. Why would you tell her that? Well, you're not exactly welcoming. Patricia is always welcome. You're not. There's a difference. I had Leonard set up a special provision. Regular Saturday visits with Patricia without Caroline present, or the trust I'd established for my granddaughter would go to charity instead. Caroline was furious, but agreed. She had no choice. Now, 3 months later, Patricia visited every Saturday. I picked her up, we spent the day together, and I took her home in the evening. We baked cookies, worked in the garden, talked about school and friends and life. Patricia was the only grandchild who seemed genuinely happy about my win, not for the money, but because Grandma doesn't look tired all the time anymore. One Saturday, while we planted tomatoes, she said quietly, Mom's really mad at you. I know. She says you're being mean. Keeping all the money for yourself. What do you think? Patricia was quiet, her hands in the dirt. I think it's your money. You can do what you want with it. That's very wise. But I also think. I heard Mom on the phone with her friend. She said she wishes she'd pretended to care more about you before you won. That she messed up. My heart sank. She said that. Yeah. She didn't know I was listening. I pulled Patricia into a hug. You are the best person in this whole family. For months after the win, Harold sent a letter through his law firm. He was challenging my mental competency to manage my wealth, claiming I was being unduly influenced by Leonard. The lawsuit was dismissed within a week. Leonard had documented every meeting, every decision. My lawyers had psychiatric evaluations showing I was completely sound. The lawsuit actually hurt Harold. His law firm, learning that a partner was suing his own elderly mother for her lottery winnings, quietly asked him to resign. 6 months after winning, I received a letter from Caroline. Not asking for money, just a letter. Mom, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I treated you terribly for years. The lottery just made it obvious to everyone else what I'd been doing privately. I'm in therapy now, working on why I'm like this. Why I resented you for being poor. Why I took out my own insecurities on you. I'm sorry. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. For Patricia. And for myself. If you're willing, maybe someday we could try to build a real relationship. Not about money. Just about being mother and daughter. I understand if the answer is no. Caroline. I read that letter many times. Showed it to my therapist. What do you want to do? She asked. Part of me wants to believe she's genuine. Part of me thinks it's manipulation. Both can be true. I thought about it for a week. Then I wrote back, Caroline, I appreciate your honesty. I hope you become the mother Patricia deserves. As for us, I'm not ready yet. The hurt is too deep. Maybe someday, but not now. I wish you well in your healing. Mom, it wasn't forgiveness. But it wasn't complete rejection either. Harold never apologized. never acknowledged what he'd done. 2 years after winning, I heard through Arthur that Harold's marriage had fallen apart and he'd lost another job. I felt sad hearing it. Sad that my son had become someone who valued money over people. 3 years later, I sat in my garden with Arthur, watching the sunset. You happy, Ruthie? I am. Really happy. Any regrets? I regret that my children turned out the way they did. But I don't regret protecting myself from them. Patricia came over that evening. She was 14 now, thoughtful and kind. Grandma, Mom wanted me to ask if you'd come to my birthday party next month. Did she? Yeah. She said she knows you probably won't, but she wanted to ask. What do you want? I want you there. But only if you want to come. I went to that party. Brought Arthur for support. Stayed for an hour. It was awkward but civil. It wasn't healing, but it was something. 5 years after winning, I was 72. Healthier and happier than I'd been in decades. I'd traveled to 12 countries. Published a children's book about a teacher who loved her students. Funded scholarships for hundreds of kids. I'd lived more in 5 years than in the previous 67. Harold and I exchanged brief emails on holidays. Nothing more. Caroline and I had built a cautious, boundaried relationship. Not close, but honest. Patricia graduated high school and chose a college near me so we could see each other regularly. On my 72nd birthday, Arthur threw me a small party. Close friends. Patricia. And surprisingly, Caroline. Caroline brought a gift. A photo album of my teaching years that she'd assembled from old yearbooks. I wanted to celebrate who you were before you were just my mom, she said quietly. I cried. We weren't fully healed. Maybe never would be. But it was real. And that mattered. That night, sitting in my garden, I thought about the journey from that tiny apartment to this peaceful home. The lottery hadn't bought happiness, but it had bought freedom. Freedom to demand respect, to set boundaries, to choose peace over obligation. My children had failed my test, but in failing, they'd given me the greatest gift, the courage to finally put myself first. And that was worth more than $300 million.